This plane took off as planned, but by the time the fighter jets had intercepted, everyone on board was unconscious, and yet the aircraft kept flying for over 2 hours. This is the true story of Helios Airways Flight 522, the ghost plane. At 6:07 a.m. local time, August 14, 2005, Helios Flight 522 took off from Cyprus, heading for Prague with a stop in Athens. Just 5 minutes after takeoff, as the plane climbed through 12,000 feet, a cabin altitude warning pierced the cockpit. The captain immediately contacted the operations center, reporting what he believed to be a problem with the aircraft's air conditioning or equipment cooling system. As the aircraft continued to climb, at 18,200 feet, passenger oxygen masks dropped suddenly from the overhead panel. Despite this, communications between the cockpit and operations continued until the aircraft reached 28,900 feet. Then, radio silence. Then more than 90 minutes later, the aircraft eerily appeared in the skies above Athens International Airport, circling in a haunting holding pattern. No one in the cockpit was answering. 50 minutes and 6 holding patterns later, a pair of F-16 fighter jets from the Hellenic Air Force intercepted the Boeing 737. What the pilots saw sent chills down their spines. Through the cockpit window, one F-16 pilot could see the captain's seat empty and the first officer slumped unconscious over the controls. And then, movement. A figure without an oxygen mask entered the cockpit and sat in the captain's seat. The F-16 pilot tried desperately to make contact, with no response. At 8:50 a.m., the plane's left engine had flamed out, starved of fuel, and shortly after, the right engine failed. Just 3 hours after it first took off, Flight 522 slammed into the hills near Grammatiko, just 33 kilometers from Athens International Airport. The impact obliterated the aircraft. The 115 passengers and 6 crew were killed. The investigation that followed unearthed a tragic series of preventable errors. Earlier that morning, after arriving from London, the same aircraft had a pressurization issue. A ground engineer performed a leak check, which required setting the pressurization system to manual mode. But once he'd completed his tests, he forgot one critical step: resetting it back to automatic. And during Helios Flight 522's pre-departure checks, neither the captain nor the first officer noticed the incorrect setting. So, as the plane ascended, the cabin failed to pressurize. The crew, unaware, slowly succumbed to hypoxia, a silent, creeping death caused by lack of oxygen. Disoriented and then unconscious, the aircraft was in the hands of the autopilot, steadily guiding everybody on board to an inevitable catastrophe. One fatal mistake, one overlooked switch, led to a tragic accident.